The night's pulse followed us, subtle at first, then insistent. Every leaf, every stone, every gust of wind seemed to hum with presence. Miss Ellerine moved silently ahead, her lantern casting a pale glow across the forest floor. The air was thick with humidity, with the scent of earth, of crushed leaves, and of burning herbs. I could feel it, the energy, the memory, the breath of ancestors who had walked these lands long before my arrival. Tonight, Ellerine whispered, you will see what the land keeps secret. You will hear what colonial tongues try to silence. I nodded. Though my heart was already racing, every step felt heavy, sacred. We entered a small clearing where the canopy parted and moonlight fell like silver rain. In the center, a circle of figures moved slowly, rhythmically. Women swayed in long skirts dyed deep crimson, their hands adorned with beads and shells. Men held machetes and staffs, their movements precise, deliberate, ceremonial. The Obeah, Ellerine explained softly. Not just magic, protection, healing, resistance. I watched as a young girl stepped forward, her feet bare, her eyes closed. She carried a small basket filled with herbs, basil, sage, and rum, soaked leaves. She knelt and whispered into the earth. They speak to the land, Ellerine said. They speak to the ancestors, and the ancestors speak back. I pressed my palm to the damp soil, and I felt it, a vibration subtle but undeniable, a heartbeat beneath the earth. The chanting began, soft, low, melodic. The air thickened, charged with an energy I couldn't name. Shadows shifted unnaturally, as if the trees themselves leaned closer. I swallowed hard. Do they see me? Ellerine shook her head. Not yet, not unless you listen properly, not unless you feel. I closed my eyes, letting the rhythm seep into my bones. A warmth rose from the soil, through my feet, into my chest. A presence surrounded me, protective, powerful, alive. The scene shifted. Suddenly, I was walking through a narrow, moonlit path flanked by sugarcane, heavy with scent. We had crossed to Cuba. A drumbeat, low and steady, echoed in the distance. A group of practitioners emerged, dancing in circles around a fire. Their movements were fluid, sensual, hypnotic. Each step, each gesture told a story. One elder, a man with dark, glistening skin, called out names, Orisha names, his voice commanding yet melodic. Elekwa opens the way, Ellerine murmured. Obatala guides, Nyamaya protects. Every step, every chant, a conversation with the unseen. I watched a young man twirl, beads jingling, as he raised his hand to the sky. Sparks flew from the fire, reflecting in his eyes. He was in trance, but his presence was absolute, human and divine at once. A woman approached, placing a small bowl of water and herbs in my hands. Feel the rhythm, she said. Taste the memory. This is how we survive, how we remember. The wind stirred. I could hear whispers, voices of those who had been silenced, singing, guiding, warning. And suddenly, the world felt bigger, yet intimately small. The living and the dead coexisted, folded into the night like shadows into flame. Later, we arrived in the mountains of northern Haiti. Torches burned in a circle, drums pounded with the force of a living heart. A Hungan, tall and commanding, lifted his arms. The chanting began. I could feel it vibrating through my chest, through the soles of my feet, up my spine. Elohim whispered, Boys Kaiman, the night that lit a revolution. I saw visions, shadows moving. Makandao, Bookman Duty, Cecile Fatiman. Their bodies alive with purpose, calling on the ancestors for guidance. The spirits flowed through them, a fusion of human and divine energy. Each movement a spell, a signal, a shield. The fire flared, and I felt heat on my skin. It was not just the flames, it was the intensity of memory, of ritual, of defiance. This was not just spiritual practice, it was strategy, resistance, a weapon against erasure. Every chant, Elohim said, every drum beat, every step, a story of survival, a shield, a message, a bridge between now and then. I shivered. The wind carried scents of rum, incense, and wet earth. I wanted to speak, but my voice faltered. Instead, I listened. The spirit spoke. The ancestors whispered. I felt a hand brush my shoulder, or was it memory itself? The night seemed to fold around me. I could see the past and present entwined, living together in the shadows. And I knew, with a certainty that shook me, that this was the heartbeat of the Caribbean, hidden, sacred, eternal. We left the clearing slowly. No one spoke. The forest seemed to watch, approving or acknowledging our presence. Spirit, Elohim said finally, ain't always loud. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it moves through fire or water, sometimes it moves through woo. I pressed my hand to my chest. My heartbeat echoed theirs. Their rhythm became mine. The Caribbean, every island, every forest, every mountain held stories that could not be erased. Even as we walked away, I could feel them with me. The dancers in Cuba, the ritualists in Jamaica, the revolutionaries in Haiti, the pulse of ancestors, alive and unbroken. I realized then that this was the power of memory, of spirit, of survival, not recorded in books, not taught in schools, preserved in whispers, in ritual, in shadow, in heartbeat. And now I carried it with me.